Greetings, rise and shine, brethren. We are the World Global Reset Restoration Network family, comprised of 198 sovereign nations with over 7 billion sovereign principles, being of one mind, one heart, and one spirit, walking together under the divine principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I come to you as a voice in the wilderness to introduce to you a man. No, not just any man, but a man sent by Yah Allah to redeem mankind. Dr. Hindu I.L. Henderson, the Adak Chief Justice of the Universal World Court, and who's also known as YHWH Mashiach, the Son of Man. The information that you will be receiving in this and other videos you won't get from anywhere else on the planet. Hear the many truths and fulfillment of the laws, judgments, and sentencings from our Creator, Father Yah, as well as the fulfillment of the true interpretation of the Holy Scriptures and books. Now, without further ado, Dr. Hindu I.L. Henderson with his beloved host, Shelley Bowling.
Family, remember us saying in the last, few years we've been bringing to you the fact that all of the systems of this planet that were created by mankind are changing. They're going back to the way Father Yah created them. And when we say all systems, we mean ALL in capital letters. Every system on this planet was corrupted by the fall of mankind. And now we still have the battle between the male and the female, the masculine force and the feminine force is one of the areas that needs to change and go back to the way it was originally created. How things got totally messed up was clear back almost the beginning of the Holy Book, the Holy Bible, in Genesis chapter 3. The book of Genesis is the first book of that holy book. So just 3 chapters in, we find that because of mankind's disobedience to what Father Yah Allah told them to do, the whole system was messed up. Eve slept with one of the fallen angels. That's where the fall of man happened, and man's genome was corrupted. And 3:15 through 17 said, I will put enmity or mutual hatred between you, Satan and Lucifer, and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. That would be the generations thereafter. We're still dealing with the effects of that now, family. He, YHWH, shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel, Satan. To the woman he said, I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception. YHWH spoke about that the other day. And in pain you shall bring forth children. Your desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you. That was established clear back then. Then to Adam he said, because you have heeded the voice of your wife, and have eaten from the tree which I commanded you, saying, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for your sake. In toil or hard labor you shall eat of it all the days of your life. So now, family, we see the establishment of that fight between mankind and the fallen angels. That is continued. However, going forward into Father Allah's kingdom, it will be reversed and restored. I'd like to commend Candace Owen. Many of you have probably heard her name lately in the last couple of years. She's been an activist speaking out regarding the positions of women in life and the positions of abuse that our melanated brothers and sisters have been going through, as she is a melanated sister. She was speaking out about feminism and how feminism now she has decided is a scam. Other women that have followed the feminist thought are now coming out and speaking about how it has destroyed their lives. Many women seem to think that they can do the same things a man can do. If that is the case, then I'd love to see them produce the sperm and fertilize an egg, thus creating a child. It's not going to happen, family. In fact, women are the weaker sex. It's a fact. Does not mean we do not have our own strengths. It means we were created for a special purpose, different than a man. A man is much stronger than a woman. We can see that just even in sports. The women have been now coming forth that are involved in different sports, filing lawsuits, complaints against being forced to compete with transgender men. Men are stronger, thus they've been winning all of the competitions. It's a physical fact, family. Men and women are different. They were created for specific purposes. And if we're going to restore back what was destroyed in Genesis 3, then we're going to have to go back to Father Yah's ways of doing things. YHWH told us that the men were supposed to love the women as YHWH loves the church. In other words, look after it and care for it. On the other hand, the women is supposed with mutual respect to look after and care for the man. It is this mutual love and respect, family, and submitting to the authority that Father Allah put in place in the beginning. The man is to be the head, and he is to respect the woman, and vice versa. So family, we will be going back to these standards of living as everything is changing now. We're not going back to normal. YHWH has been talking this week and the last few weeks about what will become the new normal in Father Allah's kingdom. The old things are going away and everything is being made new.
We say to those of the feminine force, stay in your place. Realize that there is no place for you to take over and be masculine and feminine force. Remember, you have a major would-be commitment that you have already been set forth to do, and that happened in the garden. You are to have those things that are classified to be menstrual pains, and he told you that they will be multiplied. He also told you that in that multiplication of that multiplying, that you will bring forth and have conceptions, to even bring forth a child therefore. If you just do that alone, I can assure you that you will have done those things which are required of you to be obedient, whereby you will be considered to be one of Yah Allah's children, to be obedient, and thereby he will give you those things in which you desire. Having you still try to step outside your place, where you want to be the one to be bringing the seed and that which is considered to be nothing more than an egg. You cannot plant and water and be able to be the one that will also multiply the increase. You will never be able to do that. So I say to you, sit back, relax, and watch the increaser work. The increase will be part of your would-be receiving, but to be on the receiving end, you have to at least be one that is willing to accept. For if you reject, I can assure you that you will also be rejected in my Father's house. Wow, the United States of America, a made-up land, given a title by those that classify themselves to be founding fathers. At best, deadbeat dads, jackleg men who found the time to spend more time out on some would-be lonely lake, telling fish stories as big as the earth itself. Only that they might be able to conquer the weak. Yes, and then they would destroy those that were classified as widows. Yes. They would get all of the would-be ignorant feminine force in which now so finds itself parading around on earth as if though they were some would-be great peacock or some great hen who has sat on the nest long enough to at least be able to hatch enough eggs to classify herself to being queen chicken. Stay with me. I know. See, I remember Rise and Shine as well, and my colleague was speaking to the United Nations about the feminine force and the masculine force. I listened, but I knew then that that message was not truly for the United Nations, and believe it or not, I had that message already prepared for you tonight, United States of America. But yes, I listened to her message, and I am believing that those of you who were able to at least obtain a line to be able to hear this Rise and Shine Day, you should have heard her speaking to the United Nations, but it was meant for the United States, I would say, based upon the feminine and the masculine force. America is such an ignorant nation and arrogant along with it, that for some strange reason, they truly believe that they're setting examples for the nations and for the many planets that are around them. They believe that they're setting an example for them in some regard to being finally able to come to the forefront and take on what would be classified as the leadership position. It's why now. I say again, the message that was given to the United Nations should have just been given to the United States if it might be classified a nation of ignorant, arrogant, feminine forces. I know they get angry with me when I do this, the feminine force do, but really I can care the less. Because of the fact that because you slept around with those that were deemed to be nothing more than fallen angels, since that time you have become more ignorant than your would-be everyday chore of doing nothing more than having a menstrual cycle sometime during the month. You have not yet been able to figure that out. You still think that for some strange reason that was a blessing. And those of you who don't realize that the conceptions in which you now bring forth children, you believe that to be a blessing. But all the time it's obvious that you did not read the 3rd chapter of Genesis. It's obvious that you don't understand when he says you shall be cursed with this. That you didn't find the time to look up the word curse in the dictionary till now. You don't understand what curse really means. obvious that you still think that you're the mother nature, the mother of nature. And you still refuse to recognize Father's time. You still refuse to recognize Father Yah. And you want everyone to still follow you with Mother Yah. I understand. You have still tried to teach the whole universe that God is a woman. Right. You've tried to teach the whole world that now we must finally take control and put man in his place. Arbiters shall now ring through the minds of those that classify themselves to be Jews, where they have allowed nothing more than the feminine force to take control just because of what's under her chest rather than what's in her mind. Stay with me. Don't get angry with me. No, I'm not chastising you. I'm just bringing you the facts. Woe to my people, for they have given over to be nothing more than women to rule over them, and those women have done nothing more than cause them to err, destroying the way of their path. I'm talking to you, United States of America, if I might have to, in a manner in which you will have to be directly addressed. I'm doing so at this moment in time. I'm not talking to China. I'm not talking to Japan. I'm not talking to Russia. I'm not talking to Italy. I'm not talking to any nation, but now I'm talking to that nation that's classifying itself as it has already self-proclaimed itself, the United States of America, that you are an ignorant nation that's going to be destroyed off this planet because you are truly Babylon. No, you're not Babylon the Great. Great is a word that means that they're going to overcome and be successful. You're Babylon the idiot. Babylon the ignorant. Babylon, those that will be known as the cowards that would have died based upon the ignorance and arrogance of their human would-be so-called nature. I know this is being heard by a lot of people around the planet. I already know this. And I know for a fact that I have to be frank with the people around the nations and around the world. That you have to first be able to deal with that which is deemed to be the problem. See, if you don't deal with the problem, you'll never be able to come up with the source of the problem. I can tell you, dealing with the problem in the United States of America, you got too much of the feminine force that has placed itself now in leadership positions. You got too many of them flocking their way now by way of being geese and goose that are heading to the White House with long necks, where they believe that just because they made it there, now they can be able to step on everyone. Let me help you out, feminine force, and let me say the word for the feminine force, those of you that don't know who I'm talking to. I'm talking to the females. The greatest would-be enemy of the female. Let me help you out so you know. So the next time you decide that you want to find out the source of your problem, let me tell you what it is. The greatest enemy for the female is the female. Yeah. You're your own enemy. And majority of you will find that out by way of destroying all of your other so-called would-be no friends that you have as a feminine force that you call female. None of you get along, really. You only pretend to get along, especially when you're at war with what you deem to be man. Everyone is everyone's friend, girlfriend. Whenever you want to deal or to try to destroy a man, you're all friends. You go into different organizations and you talk to each other in private. Girl, this is what's happening. Girl, this is what I need. Girl, this is why it's happening. Girl, this is when I got to find some way to pull myself out. only to find that they believe you and they give you everything that you're asking them for. Why? Because they desire it. Only to realize that they're desiring something that they don't deserve, just as you don't deserve. Just that you're not worthy of, they're not worthy of. And they only give it to you for the simple fact. They're waiting for you to destroy yourself, knowing that they are in the same would-be company that you're in, and they're in the process of destroying themselves. Stay with me and be quiet. I'm different. I don't have to sleep with you. And if I did, I would still talk to you in the same manner. Because I'm not in fear because you say that you're going to put him on a dry spell or that you're going to lock your legs finally for the first time after giving him a bunch of hard-headed children that you yourself can't control because you have turned them to be the leaders of the people. And now they are oppressing the people because of your arrogance and ignorance, not because of his. See, he's not in the house anymore. And you tell the story that he left. No, you ran him out with your mouth and with your arrogant would-be so-called personality and what you call it, when it's nothing more than ignorance. Stay with me. I'm not attacking you on the manner that I'm trying to put you in some position where you become weak. I'm attacking you to make you stronger. You're already weak. You're the weakest vessel on the planet. And not only that, you have begun to show your weakness by your arrogant way of trying to retaliate against everything that doesn't owe you
Rise and
anything
shine.
or doesn't need to be given you anything.
These are the 198 nations.
Stay with me. Don't leave me now. These are the reasons why now all of the nations find themselves backing away from the one nation that had prided itself on being some so-called example for the world. They're backing away from you now. They've gotten tired of you bringing all of your would-be laundry to the nation, to the United Nations, and leaving it at their front door, looking for them to clean it up. You got all your sniveling, crying, would-be feminine forces, women, who wants them to come up with a world leadership for women, when many of them have still not yet been able to produce a child. And those that have been able to produce a child, that's all they did, produce. They have no cleaning skills. They cannot even clean themselves properly. I'm not attacking you on the grounds now to just talk about the feminine force. I'm giving you the reasons why now it has become so important for all the nations to back away from you. Because you're too busy trying to put your feminine force in charge of your masculine force. That's your problem. Nancy Pelosi does well as long as she don't have to worry about Joe Biden slipping his hand up her dress. And if he does, I'm sure he won't even be satisfied with it. Stay with me. It's not a laughing matter right now. I'm giving you some facts of what's taking place on your stage. And right now, Judge Ginsburg does well to be in the hospital, going through all of the would-be situations she's going through, because right now, everyone wants to listen to her on the grounds that she's a feminine force and she looks like someone's old grandmother who might just be able to give out some instructions that just may be helpful. I'm here to tell them not going to happen. That she wasn't raised in that manner. She don't have no clue what the feminine force really does. She spent most of her time standing up taking a pee. Stay with me. Don't get upset with me. She believes that she's more man than any man that she works in the would-be so-called Supreme Court with. I don't care if she gets mad or not. I wish she would send me a cease and desist. I wish she would send me something talking about be quiet. I'll listen to it until I watch the last breath begin to follow its way out of her body to wherever her mind is at. Stay with me. Because right now I know there's not that many of me still left on the planet. Oh, there's a few of us. that are not in fear. We're not afraid to tell the feminine force what we really truly think, not worrying about if we ever get slept with again. We don't care. The fact of the matter, someone must put them in their place with the truth, rather than to allow yourself to worry about who's going to cook for you. You must remember, I had a grandmother. She passed away at about 119 years old. And she would tell you, she purposely taught all of her sons how to cook. She purposely taught them all how to wash clothes. She purposely taught them all how to do everything that a woman could do except for sleep with themselves. For the simple fact, she wanted to make sure they were independent of all of the ignorance in which even she herself perhaps brought to my grandfather. She wanted to make sure that her sons didn't have to go through that by way of some other would-be feminine force that was not hers. So they learned well, and so did I, because they taught me well. All 9 of my father's brothers taught me well. Both of my grandfathers on both sides, my parental and my maternal grandfather, they taught me well. So having at least 14 men at all the time teaching me what men were truly supposed to be about and what they were supposed to stand up for, I learned well. No, I'm not an abuser. One can be accused from time to time, especially when he turns around and tells her to shut up. Yeah, that's mental abuse, they would say. Never remembering that knives in the back and trying to poison one while he's eating. All of that, they would just say that she's trying to retaliate rather than she's trying to be nothing more than a murderous, would-be wicked. Yeah, I would say it, but I'm going to let you say it, because I know most of you that are in the feminine force, women, already know this to be true. You know why? Because a lot of you have worked hard to prove yourself otherwise and to not be a part of that would-be so-called group. I know a lot of you have. A lot of you have been very steadfast in what you've done. You've worked hard to raise your children, even when you found that you did find yourself stuck with a deadbeat dad. You worked hard. You worked hard to make sure that you made ends meet. Many of you, you remembered what your grandmothers and your grandmother's mother told you, and you stayed with it. You worked hard to make things happen. And you're wondering why. Why every time you turned around, the doors were slammed in your face. You're wondering why there were men that still, as you was treating him with the greatest of kindness, was still being wicked to you. Let me tell you something. You owe that to the example of the women in whom I just now gave you nothing more than a story of truth about. They set it up for you. They made it bad for you, and they're still doing it. Right now, it is so hard for a man like Bill Cosby to prove himself innocent, because you got too many of the jackleg women who classified themselves to be nothing more than some pure white feminine force, a white female, that was able to attack a black man as they've always have did, and been able to put him in a nothing more than a chokehold where even a rope would have been classified as a lynchman's respect for him to respect her. But at the same time, you will still find that same feminine force, that same white pure female, will be unbelievable. No one would ever want to address anything she's talking about whenever she's making her accusation or she's accusing some white boy. And yes, you got them jackleg cross-leggers that only cross their legs whenever they don't want to find themselves providing for the children in which they choke out through some abortion. You find them sitting on the front row, and they are the masculine force that really came from a feminine force of a background, melanated females who will find themselves being those in whom will agree with her only because they're angry with the black man. Stay with me. God Almighty. Who do you think I am? I'm supposed to be coming to the world to do one thing, and that is to set the world free. And to set the world free, it has to have the total truth, the whole truth, and nothing